Born on April 12, 1957, in Norman, Oklahoma, Vince Gill grew up in a middle-class family where music and family were core values. The son of Jareen Gill, a devoted homemaker, and J. Stanley Gill, a judge and attorney, Vince developed a passion for guitar and country music from an early age. His life, spanning more than 6 decades, has been an emotional journey, from his dreamy Oklahoma days to the heights of fame as a beloved country music star around the world. At 68, Vince Gill is not only an American music icon with hits like Go Rest High on That Mountain and When I Call Your Name, but also a man with a scarred heart, searching for meaning through extreme challenges. Despite his great success, he also had a deep sadness, tireless efforts, and an emotional love story that touched millions of fans. The greatest sadness in Vince Gill's life was the death of his half-brother, Bob Cohen, in 1993 from a heart attack. Bob, 12 years older than Vince, was the brother he admired and looked up to as a mentor in life. An amateur musician and a railroad worker, Bob often played guitar and sang American folk songs at family gatherings, inspiring Vince to pursue music from an early age. Vince remembers sitting on the porch in Norman, listening to Bob play Hank Williams tunes and tell stories about life. Bob's sudden death, at only 48 years old, was a huge shock to Vince. He was at the height of his career, having just won a Grammy for Best Country Album when he received the devastating news from his mother. Vince said he sat in his Nashville studio, clutching his beloved guitar, and cried for hours, feeling like a part of his childhood was gone forever. The pain came not only from the loss, but also from the guilt that Vince felt he had not spent enough time with Bob in his later years. "Bob was the one who taught me how to play a guitar, how to love music," he once shared. "When he was gone, I felt like I had lost a piece of my heart." The years following Bob's death were the most difficult of Vince's life. He fell into a mild depression, often locking himself in the studio, writing dark songs, and avoiding public events. His mother, Jareen, became his biggest support, reminding him that Bob would have wanted him to continue creating. One day, she sent him an old cassette tape containing recordings of Bob singing at a local coffee shop. Hearing his voice again, Vince cried, but also found the motivation to continue. He wrote Go Rest High on That Mountain in memory of Bob, a song that became one of his most famous works, winning a Grammy in 1995. The song, with its deep melody and emotional lyrics, was not only a tribute, but also Vince's way of dealing with his pain, turning it into art. But every time Vince performed the song on stage, he couldn't help but think of Bob, and that sadness remained with him for decades. Vince Gill's career is a long story of talent, perseverance, and painful failures. He loved music from a young age, learning to play guitar at the age of 7 and playing in local bands in Oklahoma. After graduating from high school, he joined the bluegrass band Pure Prairie League in 1978, where he performed lead vocals and guitar. The band's album Can't Hold Back, featuring Vince's lead vocals on Let Me Love You Tonight, reached the top of the Billboard charts, bringing him his first major attention. In 1983, he left the band to pursue a solo career, signing with RCA Records. His debut album, Turn Me Loose, was released in 1984 to critical acclaim, with the title track winning an ACM Award for Best New Single. This success opened the door for Vince to enter the world of Nashville country music. During the 1980s and 90s, Vince Gill became one of the brightest stars in country music. His 1989 album, When I Call Your Name, with its title track reaching number 2 on the Billboard Hot Country Songs chart, earned him his first Grammy. Subsequent albums, such as Pocket Full of Gold, I Still Believe in You, and When Love Finds You, solidified his status, with hits such as I Still Believe in You and Don't Let Our Love Start Slippin' Away. Vince was not only a singer, but also a talented songwriter, writing over 300 songs and playing over a dozen instruments, from guitar to banjo and mandolin. He was also a beloved performer, with concerts attracting thousands of audiences at the Grand Ole Opry and major arenas across the United States. In 2007, he was inducted into the Country Music Hall of Fame, a milestone in his career. Vince's career, however, was not without its setbacks. The Things That Matter album in 1985 was not as successful as expected, with low sales and critics calling it a lack of innovation. Vince said he cried in the studio when he read the negative reviews, feeling he had let down his production team. Another setback came in 1998, when the key failed to chart, largely due to the shift in country music, audiences' tastes toward more modern styles. Vince, who had always been loyal to a traditional sound, felt lost in the music industry. "I've worked my whole life to keep country music original, but sometimes I feel like I'm fighting alone," he once said. The setback left him in a state of self-doubt, but he learned to bounce back by focusing on songwriting and performing in small venues, where he rediscovered his love of music. Vince's efforts were not only in building his career, but also in maintaining artistic integrity. He would often spend months writing a song, sometimes working until dawn to find the perfect phrase. When preparing for the album These Days, in 2006, an ambitious 4-CD, 43-song project, Vince worked non-stop for 2 years, often sleeping in the studio. Once, while recording The Reason Why with Amy Grant, he cried with emotion over the melody and lyrics, feeling like he was telling his own love story. The album, though not a big commercial success, received critical acclaim and became one of Vince's favorites. By 2024, when he was invited to be a guest judge on American Idol, Vince felt it was a recognition of his years of dedication. Vince Gill's accomplishments are not just about fame or awards, but about leaving a musical legacy that touches the hearts of audiences. From his earliest days, he dreamed of becoming a songwriter who could tell authentic stories about life, love, and loss. Go Rest High on That Mountain, written for Bob, is the ultimate testament to that dream, becoming a song played at thousands of funerals across America. Vince is also proud of his role at the Grand Ole Opry, where he has been a member since 1991 and a regular performer. He considers the Opry his spiritual home, where he connects with audiences through traditional country tunes. Another of his goals is to inspire young artists. He regularly hosts workshops in Nashville, sharing his songwriting experiences and encouraging new songwriters to pursue their passions. In 2018, he established a scholarship fund at Belmont University to support music students, a project to which he invested both time and money. Another accomplishment Vince cherishes is his ability to maintain long-lasting friendships with artists like Emmylou Harris, Alison Krauss, and Amy Grant. He frequently collaborates with them on musical projects and charity concerts, such as the Concert for Cumberland Heights, which raises money for organizations that support drug addicts. Vince also takes pride in being a part of the Nashville community, where he is respected not only for his talent, but also for his kind heart. He once said, "I don't need another Grammy. Just knowing that my music helped someone get through a hard day is enough." This accomplishment, though not measured in awards, is a testament to Vince's big heart, a man who always puts love and music first. Vince Gill's love and marriage is an emotional chapter, filled with both joy and sadness. His first marriage was to Janice Oliver, a member of the country music duo Sweethearts of the Rodeo, in 1980. They met at a gig in Oklahoma, when both were in the early stages of their musical careers. Their love blossomed through touring together and late-night songwriting sessions. Their wedding took place in a small church in Norman, attended by family and close friends. The marriage produced a daughter, Jennifer Jareen, born in 1982, who became Vince's greatest joy in his early years as a father. However, the pressures of his career and his grueling touring schedule caused a rift in their relationship. In 1998, they divorced, a decision that left Vince heartbroken. "The divorce was the hardest thing I've ever gone through," he once said. "I felt like I failed Janice and Jenny." In 2093, Vince married Amy Grant, a Christian pop star he had first met in 1993 at a Nashville charity event. They became fast friends, sharing a love of music and religious faith. Their romance blossomed after both divorced their previous spouses, and their wedding took place on a Tennessee farm, with family and close friends in attendance. Amy brought Vince a sense of peace he had never known, and they welcomed their daughter, Corrina Grant Gill, in 2001. However, the marriage to Amy was not without its challenges. The pressure of blending two families, with children from previous marriages, sometimes left Vince feeling helpless. Once, when Jennifer expressed her frustration that her father was spending too much time with the new family, Vince burst into tears, telling Amy, "I'm afraid I'm losing Jenny again." His greatest sorrow in love was the feeling that he had never fulfilled his role as a perfect husband and father. Vince Gill's children were the greatest joy and deepest source of anxiety in his life. Jennifer Jareen Gill, his daughter with Janice Oliver, grew up in the limelight. Bob,